You open the mail, and there it is. A past due notice for a card you never knew existed. Your hands go cold. That little envelope can feel like the start of an avalanche. Trust, money, the kids' routine, everything suddenly on the line. Hi, I'm Danny. Welcome to Danny's Den. Let's chat. Quick heads up before we dig in. This is general information, not a substitute for legal advice. If your situation is urgent or you suspect theft or fraud, reach out to an attorney right away. If this feels heavy, it's okay to pause and breathe. I'll give practical steps you can start this week.
So what actually happens when money is hidden? First, courts require full financial disclosure. That's bank accounts, credit cards, loans, retirement, everything that could affect division or support. Hidden credit card debt of, say, $10,000 to $30,000 can shift settlement math in many states. It's not just hypothetical. Those numbers matter.
You might be thinking, should I sneak a look at their phone? No, that can complicate things legally. Instead, focus on documented financial records, statements, bank notices, emails about payments. Those are what courts and lawyers rely on. Request copies of joint account statements and start a simple file of everything you find.
Another legal point people miss. Omission can be revisited. If assets or debts surface after a settlement, judges can unpack earlier agreements or shift support calculations. So starting documentation now protects you later. And what about custody? Money alone rarely decides who gets the kids. But patterns of dishonesty that cause instability, missed rent, inconsistent childcare payments, unreliable utilities, those do become relevant. Judges look at whether a parent can provide a stable, honest environment. If secrecy creates chaos for a child, it matters. Let's talk immediate parenting triage. Kids notice tension long before we think they do. First step, stabilize routines. Keep bedtime, school drop-off, and pickup times fixed for at least 2 weeks so kids feel safe. Keep conversations adult-only. If you must explain, be brief and age-appropriate. We're fixing a money issue so things stay steady, and then pivot back to normal activities.
Concrete actions to take this week. 1. Document everything. Statements, notices, texts about money. 2. If joint accounts are at risk, change shared passwords and consider freezing joint credit cards to stop further charges. 3. Prioritize essentials: school, healthcare, food. Make a short-term budget to secure those first.
Real quick story. I worked with a mom who discovered an $18,000 balance on a hidden card right before rent was due. She froze the joint cards, pulled 3 months of statements, and showed her lawyer the paper trail. That documentation helped renegotiate a settlement timeline and prevented eviction. Documentation changes conversations every time. Now, if you want to rebuild the relationship, transparency has to be structured. Here's a realistic roadmap. Start with short, consistent rituals. Agree to a 20-minute weekly money check-in, no interruptions, where you both read and explain 1 or 2 line items. Use one shared spreadsheet or a budgeting app both can access. Invite a neutral third party, counselor or financial advisor, for the first few meetings. You don't heal by grand gestures. You heal by predictability. So set measurable milestones. 3 months of consistent statements, timely bill payments, and participation in counseling or financial coaching. When behavior matches words over those weeks, you can consider rebuilding intimacy. Until then, slow and steady wins. Here's a question I hear a lot. What if they deny it? Document what you can. Gather witnesses, like a roommate or relative who saw missed payments, and consider a limited legal consult to understand disclosure obligations in your state. You may not need full litigation, but getting a lawyer's read keeps options open.
Let me borrow a sports metaphor for a second. After a bad loss, teams like the Eagles or the Yankees don't wing it. They review tape, assign roles, and hold players accountable with clear metrics. Families rebuild the same way. Define roles, who manages rent, who handles school costs, track those responsibilities, and check the scoreboard together every week. Accountability is the playbook, not punishment.
And sometimes coaching needs tough honesty. If the secrecy comes from addiction or compulsive spending,
Therapy and finance-specific counseling are non-negotiable. In some cases, legal steps, like separating accounts or court-ordered oversight, become necessary to protect the family.
Before our music moment, if you suspect criminal behavior, fraud, forged signatures, stop and call an attorney. If you feel unsafe, get to a safe place and contact local resources. What follows is about repair and protection, not crisis response.
For a short, reflective break, think of a late 90s or early 2000s R&B track. Slow keys, patient groove, lyrics about trying again. Let that music hold the feeling of regret and hope while you write a one-page plan. Column 1, legal steps. Column 2, parenting moves. Column 3, daily transparency habits. Music helps you feel without sinking into panic. Try it for 10 minutes.
Okay, let's close with a simple recap you can act on now. First, document the surprise. Second, secure essentials for the kids. 2 weeks of consistent routines. Third, consult a lawyer if finances could affect separation or custody. For rebuilding, weekly 20-minute check-ins, a shared budgeting tool, and a neutral accountability partner. One long-term rule: trust is rebuilt by repeated actions, not one apology.
If this episode landed for you, subscribe to Danny's Den for more real conversations about law, love, parenting, sports, and pop culture. If you want a free 30-minute consult about a specific legal issue, email Danielle at thelegalassistancecenter.net to book time. I read your comments, and I care about what you're facing. Thanks for listening. Let's chat.
If you leave with one thing today, take one steady step this week. Document, stabilize, and reach out. That steady step protects your kids and gives you a foundation to rebuild from.